It was only a matter of time. The San Francisco Giants made a move that they probably should have a little while ago. A struggling starter pitcher finds himself in a new role with the ball club. We'll break that down here on SF Giants Digest. If you're new here, I am your host, Michael Monreal, and if you've been here before, welcome back to SF Giants Digest. As always, if you've been enjoying the videos and enjoyed today's video, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button. About 75% of you guys watching the videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. But today's video is brought to you by Otis. Now, if someone out there is guaranteeing you wins or saying they win 80% of their bets, run. In most places, you pay one handicapper, and if you lose both your bet and their fee. Other sites give you multiple handicappers, which is great, but you're paying separate fees for each one, and it gets expensive fast. That's exactly why we use Otis Edge Analytics, where passion meets data. For one single price, you get access to 5 different expert analysts every day and access to Otis Edge University, where they teach you bankroll management, betting strategy, and even emotional discipline. That's what makes Otis Edge different. Download their free app right now and get their free pick of the day every day. Yes, free picks every day. The link is in the description and pinned comment. Now that is the Otis Edge, Now, getting into today's video. One of the moves that was made over the weekend was one that made a little too much sense, if we're being completely honest. Now, talking about Adrian Houser. Adrian Houser is a guy who was signed this offseason to a 2-year, $22 million deal. Now, that is one that in the moment seemed fine, didn't seem too exciting, seemed like a bit of a letdown at the moment, but he was coming off of a career year last season with the White Sox and the Rays, and just an interesting signing to say the least, and now it is looking like one of the more abysmal signings of the offseason, if not the worst. Yes, Tyler Mahle's been bad, but that was a 1-year deal. The Harrison Bader deal does not look great right now, but still, signing Adrian Houser to a multiple-year deal was definitely an interesting move by Buster Posey, Zach Manassian, and we have officially gotten word over the weekend that he is no longer in the starting rotation. Shayna Rubin of the San Francisco Chronicle, who does great work, make sure to follow her on Twitter, check out her stuff for the Chronicle, but she announced saying Adrian Houser won't make his next start and is moving to the bullpen going forward, Vitello said. Now, this is a move, like as I said in the intro, made way too much sense. For one, Tyler Mahle is about to return, and you need to keep one of Trevor McDonald or Carson Wisnant in the rotation. I hopped on KMBR with Kerry Crowley this weekend, and we talked about why a move to the bullpen for Adrian Houser makes a lot of sense, because you need to start, planning for the future, and one of Carson Wisnant, Trevor McDonald, or both need to be in the rotation to start getting some MLB experience and prove that they belong in the big leagues for the Giants and can be a part of, this ship turning around and winning some ball games, not necessarily this year, but in the near future in San Francisco. So Adrian Houser, the deal looks weird, but now we finally get confirmation that he is heading to the bullpen, which is a move that made a lot of sense across the last few weeks in San Francisco. Now, getting into some of the numbers, obviously it has been a very underwhelming season for Adrian Houser on the year as a starter so far. He started 14 games, he's thrown 66 innings. He has a 5.73 ERA in those 66 innings, striking out less than 7 hitters per 9 innings, walking 3.4 guys per 9. It's just been a very underwhelming year for him overall. He's never been a guy to strike out a lot of hitters, but it's hard to find some sustainability of success when you're not striking out a lot of guys and posting a career low in ground ball rate. You have to kind of do one of the either if you want to find some sort of success, and he has done neither. So it's been a rough year. His FIP currently sits at 5.33, and just a lot of blow-up outings that have just not shown a ton of encouragement with him as a starting pitcher. Now, one of the numbers that has been extremely discouraging is how poor he's been against left-handed hitters. In the top row, you see what he's done against lefty hitters, striking out more guys against lefties, which makes absolutely zero sense, but they're absolutely raking off of him. They're hitting 339. He's completely struggling in every department, basically walking 10% of those hitters. I believe the OPS, which is not shown here, is over 1,000 against left-handed batters this year. Against righties, he hasn't been as bad. Obviously, they're hitting 218. He is striking out just 12% of them, but still a lot more damage against lefties for Adrian Houser, and they're hitting 2.1 home runs per 9 innings against him, which it feels like every time he's up on the mound for the Giants, every team just stacks all of their lefties at the top of the order because they want as many at-bats against him as they can, which makes sense because he's been abysmal against lefties this year. Now, against righties he's been better, so that makes sense why he is going to go to the bullpen, because when you're in the bullpen, you can kind of play those matchups a little bit better, and Tony Vitello can say, hey, we have 3 of 4 righties coming up. Let's bring Houser in, get through a few hitters, and he's been very good against righties. So the move does make sense. Now, another reason why this move did make a lot of sense is because in his career, it's a much smaller sample, but in his career, he has been significantly better out of the bullpen than as a starter, which makes sense considering he's not an overpowering guy, he's not a dominant pitcher, and he's a guy that pitches to significantly more contact, which, yes, that can work as a starter, but in shorter spurts, you can find a lot more success. And that's kind of exactly what it's been for Adrian Houser in his career. Now, I put out this tweet on my personal account that, quick plug, you can go follow, but did pretty well, saying Adrian Houser has been much more effective as a relief option compared to as a starter. And this is in his career. As a reliever, 97 innings, a 2.32 ERA. As a starter, 702 innings, a 4.46 ERA. The strikeout rates are similar. He's not a big strikeout guy either way, but 19.8 to 17.9. And then a 231 average as a reliever, a 263 average as a starter, and then a 665 OPS compared to a 747 OPS. So basically every number he's been better as a reliever than he has as a starter in his entire career. And he's sneakily been around a very long time. Going back to his career line on Fangraphs, he's been around since 2015, 2018. There's a big gap in terms of big league play between those years, but he's technically been around for, almost a decade now. So a guy who's been around the league for a long time and out of the pen has found a lot more success. Now, I mentioned this in the intro, but in order to get Trevor McDonald, Carson Wisnett, the innings they deserve, Adrian Houser or Tyler Mahle had to move to the bullpen. And the reason it wasn't Tyler Mahle is simply because if he can string together 2 to 3, maybe 4 above average starts over the next month, he can net you at least one mediocre prospect at the deadline, and that is better than absolutely nothing. Now, the same could be said for Adrian Houser in the bullpen. If he goes to the bullpen and, goes up a tick, starts sitting 96, 97, 98 out of the pen, that is a reliever that teams might be interested in. Now, yes, it's a hefty price tag for a reliever, but if he can give you 2 innings, 3 innings out of the pen, sitting 96, 97, that is very valuable for a team that in the playoffs, you need all the pitching you can have. So who knows, maybe best case scenario, Tyler Mahle strings together 3 good starts and Adrian Houser becomes a good reliever over the next month. Teams are going to be calling the Giants saying, hey, what do you want for Tyler Mahle? We'll give you a mediocre prospect. And then for Adrian Houser, you could actually get a decent prospect or two because, yes, he hasn't been good this year, but if he shows some encouraging signs out of the pen, throwing harder, getting through 2 innings out of the pen, teams are going to want that in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, he's a valuable piece with a year and a half of control. Teams are going to sign up for that, especially if it's just a prospect or 2 that they have to give up. So that is best case scenario. Does that really happen? Most likely not. I bet Tyler Mahle will be fine over the next month, and maybe the Giants get a poor prospect for him, and Adrian Houser will be stuck in the bullpen with the Giants over the next year and a half. But who knows what will happen, but this is the move that had to be made for the better of the future of the San Francisco Giants. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the move, what you thought of Adrian Houser during his San Francisco Giants tenure. Of course, it's been underwhelming, but now that he's in the bullpen, there's a chance to maybe raise his stock as a San Francisco Giants if he becomes a solid bullpen piece. Let me know what you think down below, and as always, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you so much for watching.